Your dreams are dying every time you open your mouth. Every conversation where you share your plans is another nail in the coffin of your potential. Every social media post about your goals is another step toward guaranteed failure. This isn't motivation, this is scientific fact. Your brain cannot tell the difference between the satisfaction of talking about success and actually achieving it. Every like, every comment, every "you're so inspiring" response is stealing energy that should be fueling your execution. While you're getting high off the applause for your announcements, someone else is quietly building what you're only talking about. They're capturing the market you think belongs to you. They're achieving the success you believe you deserve. And they're doing it all while you're still explaining your strategy to people who will never attempt what you're trying to accomplish. There was once a chess master who dominated tournaments across 3 continents. Yet nobody could predict his next move, not because he was unpredictable, but because he understood something most people never learn. The moment you announce your strategy, you hand your opponents the keys to your defeat. This man would sit quietly at the board, making moves that seemed ordinary until suddenly, checkmate. His opponents would stare at the board in disbelief, wondering how they missed the signs. The answer was simple. There were no signs to miss, you see. This chess master had mastered the most powerful principle in human achievement. Never announce your moves before you make them. While his competitors spent time boasting about their strategies in chess magazines and interviews, he spent time perfecting his craft. While they drew attention to their plans, he drew strength from his silence. And while they created enemies who studied their every word, he created victories that spoke louder than any announcement ever could. Most people have this backwards. They think success comes from telling everyone what they're going to do. They believe that announcing their intentions somehow makes them more likely to achieve them. They are wrong. Dead wrong. And this mistake cost them everything. Your mouth can be your greatest enemy. Every time you open it to announce what you're planning to do, you release energy that should be stored for execution. You create expectations that burden you before you even begin. You invite criticism from people who have never attempted what you're trying to accomplish. You give your competitors advance notice of your strategy. You turn your private vision into public entertainment. But there's something even more dangerous than giving away your competitive advantage. When you announce your moves before you make them, you satisfy the very need that should be driving your action. Your brain cannot tell the difference between the satisfaction of announcing something and the satisfaction of achieving it. The applause you receive for sharing your plans tricks your mind into thinking you've already accomplished something significant. This is why so many dreams die in conversation rather than in execution. I learned this lesson the hard way 30 years ago. I had developed what I thought was a revolutionary business concept. I was so excited about this idea that I couldn't contain myself. I told my family, my friends, my colleagues at work, even strangers at coffee shops. I spent months perfecting my presentation, explaining every detail of how this business would transform our community. People were impressed, so they congratulated me on my vision. They told me I was brilliant, and I felt successful. But feeling successful and being successful are 2 completely different things. While I was busy being the star of every conversation, collecting compliments like trophies, my idea was losing its power. Every time I explained it to someone new, I noticed something strange happening. The excitement I felt was decreasing. The energy I had for actually building the business was draining away. I had become so comfortable talking about success that I lost the hunger to create it. Meanwhile, a man in the next town over was working on something similar, but he wasn't talking about it. He was doing it. While I was giving presentations to anyone who would listen, he was meeting with suppliers. While I was explaining my vision at dinner parties, he was learning from customers. While I was enjoying the applause for my idea, he was building the actual business. 6 months later, when I finally decided to stop talking and start doing, I discovered he had already captured the market I thought was mine. The difference between us wasn't intelligence, resources, or even the quality of our ideas. The difference was that he understood the power of silence while I was addicted to applause. He kept his energy focused on creation while I scattered mine through conversation. He protected his vision while I contaminated mine with everyone else's opinions and expectations. This is what happens when you announce your moves before you make them. You invite people into your process who have no business being there. You give voice to every doubt and fear that lives in the minds of people who have never achieved what you're attempting. You turn your private laboratory into a public circus where everyone has an opinion but nobody has experience. Your dreams deserve better protection than this. Your vision deserves better security than casual conversation. Your future deserves better guardianship than public announcement. The world is full of people who will steal your thunder before you even create the storm. They will take credit for inspiring you, blame you for not following their advice, and criticize you for not meeting expectations they had no right to create. But there is another way. There is a path that leads to achievement without announcement, to success without spectacle, to victory without validation seeking. It's the path of the chess master who wins tournaments without telegraphing moves. It's the path of silent strategy where your actions speak louder than your announcements ever could. This path requires discipline. It demands that you find satisfaction in progress rather than praise. It asks you to be comfortable with being misunderstood, underestimated, and occasionally ignored. But the rewards of this path are beyond what most people can imagine. When you learn to move in silence, you move with power. When you learn to execute without explanation, you execute with excellence. When you learn to achieve without announcement, you achieve with authenticity. The choice is yours. But choose wisely. Your success depends on it. Why do human beings have this overwhelming urge to announce what they haven't yet accomplished? The answer lies in something deeper than vanity or excitement. It lies in our fundamental need for validation and approval from others. We are social creatures, wired to seek acceptance and recognition from our tribe. But this wiring, which once served our ancestors well in small communities, becomes a trap in the modern world of achievement and success. When you announce your plans, you receive immediate feedback. People nod their heads, they smile, they tell you how brilliant you are. Your brain releases the same chemicals it would release if you had actually achieved something meaningful. This is the cruel trick of premature disclosure. It gives you the reward without requiring the work. It satisfies your hunger for recognition before you've done anything worthy of recognition. There was a brilliant author who spent 5 years talking about the novel he was going to write. He would attend literary gatherings and describe his plot in intricate detail. He would explain his characters' motivations, their backgrounds, their transformations. People would gather around him at parties, hanging on every word. He became known in his circle as the man writing the great American novel. Publishers heard about him. Agents wanted to meet him. He felt like a successful author without having written a single page. Month after month, he would refine his story in conversation. He would test new plot points on friends over dinner. He would debate character development with fellow writers over coffee. Each conversation gave him the satisfaction of creative accomplishment. Each discussion made him feel like he was making progress on his masterpiece. But the actual writing never happened. The novel never got written because he had already received all the recognition and validation he needed just by talking about it. 5 years later, he still hadn't written his book. But another author, someone nobody had ever heard of, published a novel with remarkably similar themes. This unknown writer had spent those same 5 years working in silence, crafting his story word by word, page by page, without seeking approval or validation from anyone. While the first man was busy being the star of literary discussions, the second man was busy becoming an actual author. The first man had talked his book to death. He had satisfied his creative hunger through conversation rather than creation. He had received applause for potential rather than performance. And in doing so, he had robbed himself of the very motivation needed to turn potential into reality. This is what happens when you announce your moves before you make them. You create a false sense of accomplishment that undermines your drive to create real accomplishment. You satisfy your need for recognition prematurely, leaving you without the hunger necessary to earn genuine recognition. You become addicted to the applause for your ideas rather than driven by the desire to make those ideas reality. But the damage goes even deeper than false satisfaction. When you announce your plans, you invite criticism from people who have never attempted what you're trying to accomplish. You give voice to every doubt and fear that exists in the minds of people who have settled for mediocrity. You turn your vision into a topic of debate rather than a mission of execution. Critics multiply when plans are revealed, the moment you share your intentions. You create an army of experts who will tell you why it won't work, why it's been tried before, why you're not qualified, why you should wait, why you should modify your approach, why you should lower your expectations. These people aren't evil. They genuinely believe they're helping you, but their help becomes poison to your purpose. Every entrepreneur knows this pain. Every artist has experienced this frustration. Every innovator has felt this burden. The weight of other people's expectations, opinions, and limitations becomes heavier than the actual work required to achieve your goals. You find yourself spending more energy defending your vision than developing it. You waste more time explaining your strategy than executing it. The solution isn't to become secretive or antisocial. The solution is to understand the difference between accountability and announcement. There are people in your life who deserve to know your goals because they are invested in your success and capable of supporting your growth. These are not the same people who simply want to be entertained by your ambitions. These are not the people who see your dreams as topics for casual conversation. Choose your confidants carefully. Share your plans strategically. Protect your energy ruthlessly, because the world is full of people who will drain your enthusiasm before you've had a chance to channel it into achievement. They will steal your thunder before you've learned to create lightning. They will applaud your potential while unconsciously sabotaging your progress. Your dreams deserve better guardians than casual conversation. Your vision deserves better protection than public announcement. Your future deserves better security than social validation. The path to extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary discretion. It demands that you find satisfaction in progress rather than praise, fulfillment in execution rather than explanation, success in silence rather than spectacle. When you move in silence, you move with an advantage that your competitors cannot counter because they don't even know it exists. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It's the presence of power. It's the strategic positioning that allows you to see everything while revealing nothing. It's the competitive edge that cannot be copied, studied, or undermined because it remains invisible until the moment of victory. Think about the most successful people you know. Really think about them. How much did you know about their plans before they achieved their success? Probably very little. They didn't announce their strategies on social media. They didn't seek validation for their ideas at networking events. They didn't turn their vision into entertainment for others. They simply worked, and then they won. There was a young entrepreneur in my hometown who everyone overlooked. While other business owners in the area were constantly promoting their upcoming ventures, attending every Chamber of Commerce meeting, and making grand announcements about their expansion plans, this man operated differently. He showed up to work every day in the same modest car, wore the same simple clothes, and never spoke about his business ambitions. People assumed he was just getting by, struggling like everyone else during those difficult economic times. But behind his quiet exterior, he was building something extraordinary. While his competitors were busy talking about market opportunities, he was quietly acquiring undervalued properties. While they were debating strategies at business lunches, he was forming partnerships with suppliers across 3 states. While they were making presentations about their 5-year plans, he was executing his 20-year vision, one calculated move at a time. Nobody saw it coming. One morning, the local newspaper announced that this quiet man had become the largest property owner in the county. He had purchased 17 commercial buildings. created jobs for over 300 people, and established himself as a major economic force in the region. His competitors were shocked. How had they missed such massive growth happening right under their noses? The answer was simple. They missed it because there was nothing to miss. He had given them no signals to observe, no announcements to analyze, no strategies to copy. He had moved in complete silence, and that silence had become his greatest weapon. While they were playing the game of appearances, he was winning the game of achievement. This is the power of being underestimated. When people don't know what you're capable of, they cannot prepare for your success. When they cannot predict your moves, they cannot counter your strategy. When they don't understand your vision, they cannot compete with your execution. Silence creates a shield around your ambitions that protects them from interference, manipulation, and sabotage. But silence does more than protect your plans from others. It protects your plans from contamination. Every time you share your vision with someone who doesn't understand it, you dilute its purity. Every time you explain your strategy to someone who hasn't achieved what you're attempting, you risk adopting their limitations. Every time you seek approval for your dreams from people who have settled for mediocrity, you compromise your potential for excellence. Your vision is sacred. It deserves to be protected like a precious seed that requires the right conditions to grow. Too much exposure kills growth. Too much discussion weakens focus. Too much explanation drains energy. The greenhouse of silence provides the perfect environment for your dreams to develop into reality without the harsh winds of criticism and the poisonous rain of doubt. When you finally reveal your accomplishments rather than your aspirations, you speak from a position of strength rather than hope. You demonstrate rather than speculate. You prove rather than promise. The greatest victories are won in private long before they are celebrated in public. Real achievement happens in the hours when nobody is watching, in the moments when nobody is cheering, in the space between intention and recognition. This is where champions are made, not on the stage of announcement, but in the laboratory of silent execution. There is a discipline required for this kind of work that most people never develop. It's the discipline of finding satisfaction in progress that no one else can see. It's the strength to continue when there's no applause to fuel your efforts. It's the faith to keep building when others question why you're not sharing your process. This discipline separates those who achieve extraordinary things from those who simply talk about achieving extraordinary things. I want to tell you about a woman who understood this principle better than anyone I've ever met. She was 45 years old when she decided to completely transform her life. She had been overweight for 20 years, struggled with confidence, and felt invisible in a world that seemed to celebrate everyone except her. But instead of announcing her intention to lose weight, join a gym, or start a new lifestyle, the way most people do when they decide to make changes, she simply began. Every morning at 5 o'clock, while her family slept and her neighborhood was quiet, she would put on her running shoes and disappear into the darkness. She didn't post about it on social media. She didn't tell her friends about her new routine. She didn't seek encouragement or advice from anyone. She just ran day after day, week after week, month after month, through rain, through cold, through the mornings when her body begged her to stay in bed. She ran. People began to notice small changes, but she never explained them. When colleagues commented that she looked different, she simply smiled and changed the subject. When friends asked if she was doing something new, she would deflect the conversation to ask about their lives instead. She refused to turn her transformation into entertainment for others or seek validation for work that was still in progress. 18 months later, she had lost 80 pounds, run 3 marathons, and completely transformed not just her body, but her entire relationship with discipline and achievement. Only then did people realize what had been happening in the shadows of those early morning hours. Only then did they understand that while they had been sleeping, she had been becoming someone entirely different. The most remarkable thing wasn't her physical transformation, it was her mental strength. Because she had learned to find satisfaction in progress rather than praise. She had developed an internal motivation system that no external circumstance could shake, because she had built her discipline in silence. She had created a foundation of strength that no criticism could weaken. Because she had achieved her goals without announcing them. She had proven to herself that she could accomplish anything she set her mind to do. This is what happens when you execute in the shadows. You develop a different kind of confidence, not the artificial confidence that comes from other people's approval, but the authentic confidence that comes from your own consistent action. You build a different kind of strength. Not the borrowed strength that comes from external motivation, but the internal strength that comes from self-manipulated discipline. The world needs more people who work while others sleep, who build while others talk, who execute while others explain. The world needs more people who understand that the most powerful moves are made in silence, and the most significant victories are won in private before they are ever celebrated in public. There comes a moment in every journey when silence transforms into testimony. When your private dedication becomes public demonstration. When your hidden work finally steps into the light. But this moment cannot be rushed, manufactured, or announced in advance. It must be earned through consistent action and revealed through undeniable results. The art of strategic revelation is knowing when your work is ready to speak for itself. It's understanding the difference between sharing potential and sharing performance. It's recognizing that the most powerful announcements are made not with words, but with achievements that cannot be ignored, denied, or diminished. Let me share with you a story that changed my understanding of this principle forever. It's the story of a man named Samuel who taught me that the greatest transformations happen when nobody is watching. And the most powerful revelations come when the work is complete. Samuel was a janitor at a major corporation for 15 years. Every night, while executives slept in their comfortable homes, he would arrive at the office building with his cleaning supplies and his dreams. But Samuel had a secret that none of his supervisors, colleagues, or even his own family knew about. After finishing his janitorial duties, he would sit in an empty conference room and study. He had enrolled in online business courses using a computer in the company library, while the building was empty and quiet. He would spend 3 to 4 hours every night learning about finance, marketing, strategic planning, and leadership. He completed his bachelor's degree in business administration over 7 years, taking one course at a time, paying for each class with his modest janitor's salary. But Samuel didn't stop there. He continued his education, earning his master's degree in business management while still pushing his cleaning cart through the same hallways where executives made million-dollar decisions. For 12 years, he maintained this double life, janitor by day, student by night. Nobody knew about his academic achievements. Nobody understood the depth of his knowledge. Nobody suspected that the quiet man who emptied their trash cans was more educated in business principles than many of the managers who barely acknowledged his existence. During those 12 years, Samuel observed everything. He watched how decisions were made, how problems were solved, how opportunities were missed. He listened to conversations in boardrooms that he cleaned. He read discarded reports and memos that revealed the company's challenges and opportunities. He understood the business better than most people who worked there in official capacities. Because he saw it from every angle without the burden of political pressures or departmental biases, Samuel never complained about his position. He never announced his educational achievements. He never sought recognition for his intelligence or ambition. He simply worked, learned, and prepared for an opportunity that he knew would eventually come. And when it came, he was ready in ways that shocked everyone who thought they knew him. The company faced a major crisis when their primary competitor launched a hostile takeover attempt. The board of directors needed innovative strategies to protect their independence and maintain their market position. Traditional consulting firms provided expensive advice that felt generic and impractical. Senior executives proposed solutions that lacked creativity and vision. The company seemed destined to lose its identity and independence. During this crisis, Samuel made a decision that would change his life forever. He requested a meeting with the CEO. When the CEO's assistant initially dismissed his request, Samuel persisted respectfully but firmly. He finally gained access to a 15-minute meeting that the CEO granted more out of curiosity than expectation. In that meeting, Samuel presented a comprehensive strategic plan that addressed every aspect of the hostile takeover threat. His analysis was sophisticated, his recommendations were innovative, and his understanding of the company's strengths and vulnerabilities was deeper than anything the board had heard from expensive consultants. The CEO was speechless. Not because Samuel was a janitor with brilliant ideas, but because Samuel demonstrated mastery of business principles that rivaled the best minds in corporate America. Within 6 months, Samuel was promoted to Director of Strategic Planning. His strategic plan not only defeated the hostile takeover, but positioned the company for unprecedented growth. His silent years of preparation had prepared him for this moment of revelation. His private education had equipped him for public leadership. His hidden work had created visible results that spoke louder than any announcement ever could. But here's what made Samuel's story truly extraordinary. Even after his promotion, even after his success, even after his recognition, he remained the same humble, hard-working person who had pushed that cleaning cart through empty hallways. He had learned that true confidence comes not from positions or titles, but from competence earned in private and demonstrated through consistent performance. Samuel's revelation was powerful because it was earned, not announced. It was credible because it was based on results, not promises. It was undeniable because it was demonstrated through action, not declared through words. He had spent 12 years building his expertise in silence, and when the moment came to reveal his capabilities, his work spoke louder than any introduction ever could. This is the art of strategic revelation. It's allowing your accomplishments to announce themselves. It's letting your results serve as your resume. It's permitting your performance to be your presentation. When you have done the work in private, when you have built your competence in silence, when you have prepared for opportunities without announcing your preparation, your moment of revelation becomes a moment of transformation, not just for you, but for everyone who witnesses the power of silent dedication. Your dreams are not meant to be entertainment for others. Your goals are not meant to be topics of casual conversation. Your vision is not meant to be subject to the approval or disapproval of people who have never attempted what you're trying to accomplish. Your plans are meant to be protected, nurtured, and developed in the sacred space of silent execution until they are strong enough to speak for themselves. The world is waiting for your Samuel moment. The moment when your private preparation meets public opportunity. The moment when your hidden work creates visible results. The moment when your silent dedication transforms into undeniable demonstration. But this moment cannot be rushed, announced, or manufactured. It can only be earned through the discipline of working while others sleep. Building while others talk, and achieving while others are still making announcements about what they plan to achieve. Stop announcing your moves before you make them. Start making moves that announce themselves. Your success depends on it. Your future demands it. Your dreams deserve it. The time for silence is now. The time for action is now. The time for strategic execution is now. Make your move in silence and let your results do the talking.